Let's talk Pac-12, all kinds of awfulness. Because I got to tell you, there's not a whole lot that you can hang on to with the Pac-12 right now. And the tough part is that you look at this situation with the Pac-12, Jake, and you start to understand they overpaid, or they were overpaid by Comcast. Mm-hmm. And these are reports, allegedly that the Pac-12 knew that Comcast was overpaying them by $5 million a year.
Yeah.
$5 million a year, and did nothing about it. Now, truth be told, they're under no obligation to do anything about it. And the thing that a lot of people don't want to talk about is Comcast makes payments based on the number of subscribers who get the Pac-12 network. The Pac-12 network has no idea how many subscribers get their product on Comcast. Comcast does not report that. But the reason all of this happened is because the Pac-12 networks thought Comcast was actually underpaying. So they petitioned an audit, paid for an audit, and the audit showed that Comcast was actually overpaying by $5 million. The Pac-12 knew, and they told nobody. They kept it in-house. They did not tell Comcast. They did not tell anybody. How did Comcast find out? They did an audit that showed that they overpaid by $5 million. And by the letter of the law, did the Pac-12 networks do anything wrong? No, not specifically. You should have told Comcast you did an audit and it showed they were overpaying you by $5 million.
Yeah.
Yet they didn't do that. And this is the issue with Larry Scott's Pac-12 conference. This is the issue with George Kliavkoff's Pac-12 conference. You can't trust them to be morally right in business, and you can't trust them to be business-savvy operators. That's the issue with the Pac-12. And I think absolutely this is why it has been very difficult for the Pac-12 to get a TV deal, because I think there are lingering issues around trust and good faith belief that the Pac-12 is your partner. And Jake, I think this is a terrible indictment on the reputation, frankly, and a really nasty look inside about how the Pac-12 ran under Larry Scott.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's classic. It's everything that you would almost expect at this point of the Pac-12. Like, oh, we're making more money than we should. Who cares? We're not going to mention that. We're not going to share that. We're not going to disclose that. Why would we do that? Oh, is that because you need the money? Is that because you don't have a TV distribution deal that's paying you good money? Or is it just simply because you're greedy? You just simply don't care. You don't care to do business at the highest level, right? Or even not even the highest level, but in a proper way, right? Because the proper thing would have been, oh, they've been overpaying us. We should let them know that and get that corrected, right? That would have been like the proper, thing to do. But they didn't do that. And it just, for me, it goes right back to, okay, this is why, right? This is why people don't want to do business with the Pac-12. And this is why people aren't willing to overpay for the Pac-12. And this is why people aren't willing to go out of their way to get Pac-12 content on their network or their distribution platform, because it's just not good. It's not like there's no, like when you do business with the SEC or the Big Ten, right? You know that, okay, yeah, sure, they're going to be playing football at the end of the year. Great, right? But what do you also know? And what's more important there? I know that the deal is going to get done the right way. I know that, hey, I'm going to make the money that I should make, not $1 more or $1 less. I know I'm going to get what I had come in based on the agreement we signed.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is crucial. It's really important. So, this morning when, guys on Twitter like, Pig Bus, let's say, love you, right? Like, awesome account. But when we're having conversations about San Diego State, when you're having conversations about Pac-12 expansion, is it really a good look when you're essentially, under the table taking money? Like, that's a bad look, bro.
Well, and I think what this also says is that the Pac-12 remains to this day what people have always accused them of being, and that's arrogant. When you think that you're being underpaid, you do an audit and you're actually being overpaid, you have no idea what that business structure is. That's terrifying if you're a Pac-12 member. Your conference that you have a grant of rights with has no idea what one of their TV providers, distributors, partners is doing. No idea. That should be terrifying to you. But the arrogance that, has gone along with this conference, well, we don't need TDS. We don't need San Diego State. Let me ask you this. You're losing USC and UCLA. You have no representation below Berkeley. You have no representation below Palo Alto.
That's incredible.
From the Bay Area south, you have nothing in California. And yet you want to flick your nose repeatedly at San Diego State. You think that's... And then when I, I've had this conversation with 1,000 Ute fans. And you say, hey, San Diego State, it's not about the size of their stadium. It's not about the number of their viewers. It's 100% about the fact they give you Southern California. And advertisers want the Southern California market. Well, that doesn't matter, Sandy. Yeah, it does. You don't have to like it, but yeah, it does. And again, we've been reporting for months that Fox Sports has said we're not interested in being tier one partners with the Pac-12. That ESPN has told the Pac-12, we're not going to compete with Amazon because
with all due respect,
we don't view them as competitors. Go ahead and ESPN, according to TV industry sources, told us, hey, we're not going to compete with Amazon. Go ahead and make a tier one deal with Amazon.
We'll play intramurals, brother.
Go for it, dude. Think about that. Think about what that means.
Yeah.
And think about the damage that does to the Pac-12. When you have Fox and ESPN, who you assumed were going to pay you $40, $50 million. Bill Riley on ESPN 700, $50 million is happening. It's not happening. No, it's not happening. And you look at that level of arrogance that exists in the Pac-12, in their offices. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Because the Pac-12 is not worth $30 million, let alone $50 million. And if you're a Pac-12 fan who doesn't believe that your conference needs representation in Southern California, I just don't know where to go with that conversation. Because if you're supposedly a Power 5 football conference, coming off of what was a pretty good year.
Yeah.
And you don't think you need to be represented in Los Angeles, Orange County, San Diego?
Donnie, you're out of your element.
How are you going to draw Coca-Cola, McDonald's? How are you going to do that when San Diego State ends up in the Big 12? Same thing. I had a Utah fan tell me last weekend, oh, SMU's a joke. Nobody wants SMU. Okay. Cool, dude. That's cool. But that's the Dallas metro area. And that's a fan base. And that's a well-respected football program. So again, you don't want the Dallas Metroplex. You don't want Southern California. What exactly are you looking for? And if another Utah fan tells me, well, Fresno State, are you kidding me? You think that the Fresno market and their fans combined are a better fit than San Diego State or SMU? You'd rather have Fresno State than SMU.
Yeah, that's stupid.
What are you talking about, man? And this is the greater issue with the Pac-12. You have this myopic fan base. And frankly, it's what's so hard about being a passionate Pac-12 supporter, which I am.
Yeah, that's the funny thing.
I am a passionate supporter of Pac-12 football and basketball. But it's incredibly difficult when 9 out of 10 Pac-12 fans are like, we don't need San Diego State. Screw them. Okay, well, who do you need then?
Yeah.
Who do you need?
Well, and that's the thing, right? That's the sentiment, right? With the fan base and like Mark Harlan saying we're never going to leave, right? Saying that Utah is never going to leave the Pac-12. It's like, okay, like why is the mindset? The most proper question to me has always been, whether it's the TV, Amazon distribution stuff or adding SMU and San Diego State or whatever, like the question for me has always been, why is it that when you talk about those things for the Pac-12, the standard go-to attitude is holier than thou? is, hey, we don't need you. We're better than you. We should command $50 million a year because we're the Pac-12. But you have nothing behind that. There's no, like, you don't have TV numbers. You don't have, certainly you don't have attendance numbers on par with the other conferences. You don't have relevancy in terms of the national championship or really even the college football playoff, if I'm being honest. Like, you don't have any of this stuff that justifies the holier than thou attitude. If there was ever a program that was going to be holier than thou, it would be Georgia. It would be Bama. Hell, it would even be Dabo and Clemson, even though they haven't won in a minute. You know what I mean? Like, so that's why I say, like, I just look at this situation and I'm like, dude, hold on. I'm reading an article that says you did an audit and discovered you were actually being overpaid, and you decided not to say anything about it, and it cost two executives their jobs.
And this is, by the way, with Comcast.
Yeah.
Not a small regional.
Yeah.
Dude, it's Comcast.
This isn't Bally Sports, bro.
And it's crazy to me. What are your thoughts on this? Would love to hear from you guys on it. Jeremy Severe. Integrity is a lost moral. What is your word worth? Sad to see a high-profile conference continuing to fall from grace.
Are they, though? A high-profile conference. And I don't want this conversation to turn on, well, you guys just hate the Pac-12. No, I love the Pac-12 as well. I would love, like, USC, as much as I'm not a USC fan, it is encouraging that finally there is a program in the Pac-12 or what is the Pac-10 that could have been. But now we don't even get that, right? Because they're gone.
No, it's incredible.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, what do you mean you're holier than thou?
And by the way, in any other universe, this would be grand theft. I mean, it's $50 million.
Yeah.
You knew you were being overpaid by reports. John Wilner, Bay Area News Group reporting, they knew they were being overpaid by $5 million a year for 10 years. And you didn't want to go and tell them that they...
Better send those refunds.
So if you knew, why did you fire the executives? Like, you can't tell me.
Another great point.
And this was not a well-kept secret. This was in the executive suite. They knew what was happening and did nothing about it.
So
why would you want to get in business with these guys?
So then when it came out, what did we do? Oh, all right, we're going to fire two people and
well,
this will blow over.
We got to make it look good. That's what you did.
Come on, dude. But this isn't rocket science.
Lewis says that's theft. Once the PAC knew they were overpaid and did nothing, it became theft by deception. Well, not by the letter of their contract. I mean, it is.
Which is all that matters.
The issue is that Comcast will not share their subscriber count. They won't do it. And they refuse to tell the Pac-12 how many people actually subscribe to the Pac-12 networks. And the issue becomes, well, okay, then we're guesstimating like. And this is the other thing that drives me crazy about the Pac-12. What do you mean it's acceptable not to know how many people are subscribing to your product?
Yeah.
You don't know the answer? How are you supposed to? So the Pac-12, what's the Pac-12 become then? A shell game. You're hoping, hey, Coca-Cola, hey, Toyota, hey, big advertiser, we don't actually know if anybody's watching, but why don't you pay us this amount of money? That's craziness. That's craziness, man. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you do that. You know, like it is just, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Tanner Plummer apparently is on a broken down train and is waiting for a bus. That sucks. Sorry to hear that, Tanner. Jeremy Bolton, the mayor of Montytown, says, wait, Bill Riley is still on the radio? Yeah, he is.
Yeah, dude. What do you mean?
He does middays on ESPN 700. I don't mind Bill Riley. I think
I respect, dude.
He is.
I mean, you know.
He's probably the best play-by-play guy in the market, I would think.
Yeah. What's the issue with that, though?
Him and Greg Wrubell. But nobody hears him.
Yeah.
Nobody hears him. That's the issue. So let's see. San Diego State, Pac-10. How are you going to draw SoCal ad money from Taco Bell?
Right.
Well, but again, quite literally, if you look at a map, they do not have anything south of Palo Alto, California. Nothing. Like that is the furthest point south on the map. Most of their representation now is in the Pacific Northwest. Because you got Washington, Washington State, Oregon, Oregon State, Stanford, and Cal. And then you got to go all the way down. If you want south, you got to go all the way down to Arizona.
But you don't need San Diego State. I mean, they're a, quote, poverty program.
And you get Utah. Utah is nowhere near Southern California. Obviously, I think we all are aware of that. Right? Like this way of thinking is crazy to me that you don't need Southern California.
Yeah. And then 5 years from now, we're going to be real surprised when the Big 12 swallows up the PAC to become a third, power conference. Because I'm not here for the PAC as a power conference anymore. I'm not. You haven't been relevant in a minute. Like with all due respect to Oregon hasn't been a threat to really make noise at the end of the year for a minute. You know what I mean? Like, and to me, it's always been Alabama, Georgia, and Ohio State. Those are the three programs that are there every single year. They're there every year. And now we get, what do we get, a 12-team playoff now or whatever it is? So now teams like Utah are finally going to get a sniff, and Kyle Whittingham is finally going to get a chance to play for a national championship, and Oregon's going to get in, and like these fringe programs. And to me, that doesn't fix it. But what's going to happen? Oh, well, we got into the college football playoff. Put us on your network. Put us here. Put us there. But that doesn't change the fact that you don't know how many subscribers you have to your stuff. You don't know.
Dude, listen to what you're saying. Like, you don't know how many people watch your product.
What if let me put it this way. So we just crossed 10,000 subs yesterday on this program, right? What if we just told you that we crossed 10,000 subs and you couldn't actually see it? Would you even listen to the show? Would you even you have to know.
We're talking about $50 million. I'm not taking your word for anything.
Yeah.
Nothing. Because if I had $50 million, I'd probably go to Barbecue Pit Stop, who provides all of our football coverage right here on the Monty Show. I'd be getting that Traeger Timberline.
Some tongs, some Asado. The Traeger mat that you put at the foot of your smoker.
Maybe some wing dust.
Yeah.
Come
on, guy.
When you hear the words Barbecue Pit Stop, you're getting the best equipment. Absolutely, you're getting the best equipment. You can go to any of their stores in the great state of Utah. You can go to Logan, Layton, Lehigh, the Jeezy, St. George. Of course, our friends in Salt Lake City and Murray right there on State Street across from the mall. Like, that you are getting the best equipment, whether that's Traeger, Big Green Egg, Yoder, Camp Chef, you name it, they've got it. That's what you know Barbecue Pit Stop for. But do you know Barbecue Pit Stop for the expertise, for the great level of service you get when they're putting out YouTube videos talking about, hey, here's how you smoke a turkey breast. Hey, here's how you do this or that. When you go to bbqpitstop.com, there's a chat box right on their website. Hey, how much Asado? Can I put Asado seasoning in eggs? Hey, Monty said he puts Asado seasoning in eggs. And I believe they'll reply with, Monty knows all, he's a god. I believe that's their standard reply.
Right.
I could be wrong.
Right.
But my point is, they are the experts that are going to help you make the perfect brisket for your party. Your Super Bowl party, you're making those wings, get on their chat function. Go into their store and say, hey, man, I'm having a big Super Bowl party. I'm in charge of smoking wings. Monty says Asado seasoning's the best for wings.
Facts.
They'll agree with you because they agree with me. Because I'm the one who got the Asado seasoning from them. Barbecue Pit Stop. Make sure you tell them you heard about it on the Monty Show. Stop in any of their 5 Utah locations in Logan, Layton, Lehigh, St. George, and Murray. And again, shop online at barbecuepitstop.com. Tanner, comment dump. Roger Sales says, great segue, cracked me up. You're welcome. It's what I do. Tanner says, good news. I got a new train that works. Hey.
Wow.
Way to go. Did you write a check for that train? Roger Sales, one of our newest members, by the way, says San Diego State isn't far left college, so they don't qualify based on Pac-12 standards.
Damn.
But that's too real, dude. When you look at the conversation, the BYU conversation is perfect. And it's almost justice that for the arrogant people at the Pac-12, we're like, wow, we can't have the salamander and that secret underwear. We like caffeine in this conference, right?
That's
Like
right,
when you
Pete.
get that level of arrogance,
Yes.
it always comes back around.
Yes, it does.
Be humble. Be humble. Be proud, but be humble.
Mm-hmm.
Because now what's going to happen? Oh, by the way, did anybody notice that all the schools in the Mountain West signed their grant of rights and they all got 4 times the money that they were getting previously on their new TV deal, $270 million.
Well.
Now, we all understand that that's only $4 million plus dollars a year per school, but it's the Mountain West.
Scale.
So let's see. The Big 12 has their TV deal. The Big 10 has their TV deal. The SEC just got a new TV deal. The Mountain West just got a new TV deal.
Huh.
Anybody at the Pac-12? Because from what we're told, there's a standing offer to the Pac-12 and they haven't taken it. And if that is indeed the case, that the negotiations are over and there is a standing deal that the Pac-12 has not taken, and if it is true what we reported 2 weeks ago, I think it was, that Oregon and Washington, amongst others, are unwilling to sign a grant of rights at this time because they don't like that standing offer, that's a real problem.
Yes.
Because that tells you that that's a vote of no confidence for George Kliavkoff. That's what that tells you. And listen, I understand that George Kliavkoff,
It almost sounds odd to say his name the right way now.
I can't call him George Kliavkoff. He will forever be George Kliavkoff.
Yeah.
Because again, I just go back as we talk Pac-12 football here on the Monty Show, and really Pac-12 business here on the Monty Show. I just go back to George Kliavkoff's comments that turned him forever into Kliavkoff.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like I go back to that when he says that, you know, nobody wants to see UCLA. Nobody wants to, what?
How many UCLA coaches and athletes have you spoken with to assess their thoughts on the move to the Big Ten?
I think saying hundreds would be an exaggeration. Dozens, more than 100. And I have yet to talk to anyone in the UCLA and USC community who's in favor of the move. I will say that I probably hear from folks who are not in favor, right? Not surprisingly.
So nobody's in favor of the move, but then when, the actual media, the news people whose job is to act with integrity and, I don't know, tell the truth, Kliavkoff, got in and actually talked to UCLA student athletes and students, and overwhelmingly they wanted to be in the same conference with USC, and overwhelmingly they wanted to go to the Big Ten. And then you understand that Kliavkoff made calculations on the back of an envelope.
Quote, calculations.
Those are his words.
Yes.
George Kliavkoff told the Shine Boys of the Pac-12,
Wilner and Canzano.
who, I get it, you're making your living on the Pac-12. We
Right,
get that. We
right.
understand it. They have a vested interest in seeing the Pac-12 do well, Canzano and Wilner. He went on their podcast and told them, well, I did calculations on the back of the envelope, and they're going to lose a ton of money.
You fucking donkey.
Let me get this right. But then those calculations were vetted by the UC Board of Regents, who controls schools like Cal and UCLA, and they determined that you are not the father because... Well, actually, they determined you are the father.
You are the father, sir.
Because UCLA is going to make enough money to stipend Cal and still make a profit on athletics. Hope that pencil on the back of the envelope had an eraser, George.
So wait, you went through all of this, right?
Man.
So wait, let me get this right. So you want to roll out with something like back of the envelope calculations, and then what? I don't know. What's it been? 4 months, 5 months, maybe something like that, right? We get, the PAC was getting overpaid actually by $5 million, and they knew about it and didn't say anything. So it turns out that guesstimating and doing back of the envelope calculations.
But how apropos is that?
It's incredible, bro.
You got overpaid by $50 million, and that came out after Kliavkoff was like, I pulled out an envelope here. Let me get a pencil out here.
If you guys ever want to kick it, we'll flow.
Oh, carry the 6. minus the 4.
Yeah, we're the Pac-12. We don't need calculators.
Yeah, let's not do decimals. Just throw the decimals out.
Come on.
6 plus 7 equals 24.
Dilly dilly.
The 9th power, and I'm an idiot. Like, that's what this makes Kleofkoff look like.
Yeah.
You know what it makes him look like? And this is how I'll end this conversation. You know what this makes him look like? Larry Scott. That's what it makes George Kleofkoff look like.
Yes.
And it's incredibly sad because this is a conference that is built on a bunch of power universities. Or was built on a bunch of
this program on NIL.
power universities who can't get together and who will not sign his grant of rights. And it's really sad because it doesn't have to be this way.
If I knew what I was going to fucking do, I'd have already done it.
But you don't, so you didn't.
That's what I'm
And
saying,
now we're
George.
here.
That's what I'm saying. 7:30 on the Monty Show.
Douche.
Seriously. It's amazing. It is amazing to me. It's amazing that if you're in an accident, you're going to call anybody but the advocates. No, my friends. For the best injury attorneys in the business, it's the advocates.
We got stuck in traffic at a construction zone, and I got rear-ended at 80 miles an hour. So I needed help. They just stepped in and pretty much took care of everything. If you're in a motor vehicle accident or situation, call the advocates.